Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Show Me Mo School Facilities Podcast, hosted by me, Joshua Peach, and the MSPMA, Missouri School Plant Managers Association. And this is one for the history books. I have with me a legend in the facility education podcast world. And he crossed state lines to spend the last 2 days here in Missouri. Mr. Burke Jones. We've shared a lot of guests, partly because he's got more Missouri school plant managers than he has Kansas school plant managers on his podcast so far. And we'll get into that. But I met Burke, I don't know, 4 or 6 months ago. Somewhere he made a post that he was starting a facility podcast. I listened to his first episode, and you had your cell phone number on your contact information on LinkedIn, and I called you blind and just said, "Hey, man, you're onto something. You're going to have the #1 podcast in school facilities, and I'm going to do my best to compete with you."
Hey, yeah.
But you've got something that I don't have, which is a daily job known as being an operations director in a school district in Derby, Kansas, and I'm just honored to have you on this podcast. I appreciate you coming out here, coming to this event. I want to talk to you about the event. I want to talk to you about your school. I want to talk to you about your partner in crime that came with you and drove the 3 hours. The new guy, we're going to call him, but he does have a name, Keith McEntire. We're going to get into what in the world was Keith thinking when he left the private sector to do this thing called operations management and education, public sector work. So welcome, guys. Thank you for giving me your time today. So let's dig right in. You we're in private sector for quite a while, engineer,
Architect
for
like 26 years.
And left that and decided, hey, I think I'd like to be a facility director in the schools. And while I'm thinking about it, why don't I do it right around COVID time?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't like say, I'm going to look for a school facilities job. Right. I just saw the job posting. And I thought, man, I could do that.
Yeah.
It sounds fun. So that was October of 2019. And then in March of 2020,
yeah,
you know, I still remember the superintendent called and said the state's shutting down our schools. And it was just like, I mean, it just took your breath away.
Yeah.
Right. So lived through all of that. We were also in the middle of a $114 million bond issue, about halfway through that. So that's wrapped up now.
Yeah.
COVID's, you know, where it is. And now I'm just looking forward to focus on my departments and making things super, super good.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about Derby. How many students, how many buildings?
So we have about 7,000 students, 9 elementaries, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school.
Yeah.
About 1.5 million square feet.
It's a good size district.
Yeah, it is. It's a great size.
Yeah.
And it's probably the best district in the United States, quite honestly.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not going to argue with you. I've learned not to argue about that stuff. And I think that the pride of being able to say that goes a long way, right? Because not everybody says that. And that pride allows you to do some really kind of out of the box thinking and some really great things, and doing some things like hiring Keith.
Right.
And you've been working there
this is the end of week 2. So just 2 weeks.
So you got through the difficult period of them, you know, hiding stuff on you.
Yeah. I know everything.
Yeah. Hiding your keys so you can't leave the office. But so you're 2 weeks in.
2 weeks.
You told me your career path that got you here. Why don't you share a little bit of that?
Yeah. I was basically a quality manager for an aircraft manufacturing company that made private business jets. Worked there for 12 years, almost 13, and did a lot of things. Worked in the laboratory, worked in HR, but mostly in the quality side of things is where I spent most of the time. And I've got 3 kids. One's 13 years old, 10 years old, and 7 years old. And I always ask them, like, hey, what do you want to do, you know, with your wife after school and everything? And one of them wants to be a baker and the other one wants to do stuff. But I always told them, I was like, well, make sure you do something that you really want to do, you know, like you're excited about. Don't settle for just whatever.
Mediocrity.
Yeah. And so I wasn't listening to the message I was telling them.
Yeah.
And then it finally kind of clicked to me and I was like, oh, I'm not doing that. I'm not living a good example. So, 'cause I really thought to myself, wow, I've been here already 12 years. Is it going to be easier to try and get away in another 10, you
Yeah.
know, if I stick around longer? So I thought, okay, that now's a good time if I'm going to make a change and go somewhere else. I really like people. I like working with people. I don't really care about airplanes.
Yeah.
You know, they're fine. They fly, you know, I guess from wherever. And I thought, okay, now's a good time. And then I wasn't looking at a lot of places.
Yeah.
I just saw this opening and I thought, well, that looks interesting. You know, okay, let's give it a shot. So I applied. And it was like 2 days later, I got a phone call. Hey, let's get you in for an interview. And then that was the next week. And then an hour or two after the interview, they called me back and they're like, hey, we really like you.
Yeah.
And it was just, you know, another day or two after that, I got an offer. And it was like,
Serendipitous.
yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Now, do you live in Derby?
I live in the Derby school district.
Yeah.
But technically.
So your kids are going to the schools.
Yeah.
That you are taking care of.
Yep.
Yeah.
All three of the
2
kids.
weeks in, you got to have that pride of ownership just went.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The pride was already there.
Yeah.
Right. Because my kids go there and
Yeah.
they've had tons of opportunity.
Yeah. But now you're responsible for the space that they sleep in and the space that they learn in.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They think they're gonna see me at school every day.
Yeah.
And-
Well, I'm sure that they're already saying, my dad can turn the
yeah.
lights and air off and on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a friend and it's a facility director in a school district, and he called me and he's been in the business for 30 or so years. And he says, yeah, my grandson went, when he started his school year in the new school, he's in like the second or third grade. He went over to the principal and he said, hey, I know some people. If you need anything here at the school, you let me know. And I'll go ahead and call my grandpa and he'll come right down and take care of it.
That's
And,
awesome.
and I just started dying laughing because the kid's right. You know, grandpa's definitely your father, mother, grandmother, grandfather. If you're working in school, you don't want your kid or grandkid to be sitting there in an uncomfortable space. You don't want any kid to be in an uncomfortable space, but this kid took it to a whole nother level and said, I'm going to go to the principal, let them know, you know, I'm looking out for them, maybe to help with maybe getting to the front of the lunch line or avoid some detention or something. But I always say that there's something incredibly special if you live in the community that you get to serve in, but to have family and friends that are in that space, that pride just goes right through the roof. So congratulations. Did you get to fly on any private jets with your quality assurance?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Only once though.
Yeah. That's never going to happen for me. That's okay. I fly in the back of the coach planes and you know, freight jobs if I can, you know, just get around
like a can of sardines.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's you know, flying is great because you can see and get to any place, but when you do it a lot, it's something that you just go, man, I wish. As a matter of fact, next year I'm working this year to do a tour in Canada where I just drive the couple of provinces and do some keynotes and things and take my family around with me in like an RV or something. And next year, what I'd like to do is the country, you know, North America. We get so much great stuff to be out here, right? I mean, this whole area is just kind of cool, you know, right down in Kansas City downtown's got to have the draft in a couple of weeks. They just turned the fountains on today. They got all sorts of stuff happening, tons of barbecue, some great barbecue. So it's good stuff. So what got you to drive 3 hours across to another state to come to this for 2 days? It wasn't to be on this podcast because you didn't know you were going to be on it until about 45 minutes ago.
Well, I had to come, you know, meet all the guys that I've had on my podcast. So, you know, when I knew Keith was joining us, I saw the information posted about this session, which just, you know, today was all about custodial operations. And I thought, well, this is a great opportunity for Keith to like get an overview of what's going on and some ideas that we've been talking about. And so, excuse me, it was a great 2 days. Super great group of guys. Learned a ton from other people. And so, we're gonna be back at some point.
They got a great energy.
They do.
And I think this certification program, even if it doesn't relate to you, providing you with any accreditation in your state,
Yeah.
it's still
Right.
worth going through, and they've got great programming. And the moderator yesterday was out of this world. I mean,
He
that guy,
was.
that guy knocks it out of the park. I mean, they
Right.
flew him in from someplace that most people have funny accents. But no, they're doing some really cool stuff, and glad to have you. It's just a lot of fun to have people that you and I never met in person.
Yeah.
We've talked on the phone, and we've been LinkedIn friends forever.
Right.
But now to put the name to the face to the in-person experience. And let's go ahead. Let's plug your podcast a little bit.
Okay, okay.
I mean, we've got this Kansas, Missouri competitiveness, but you've kind of extended the olive branch because you had a lot of Missouri guests on there. But talk about your podcast, because your podcast is awesome. I'm your number one fan. I mean,
Yeah, you are.
It's hard to be a competitor and be the number one fan at the same time. But I'm one of your biggest fans of what you're doing. So what is it? Why did you start it? And what are your thoughts for the future now that you're ranked in the top 10%?
Yeah, top 10. So I was feeling a little bit like I was on an island.
Mhm.
And so I'm super curious about what people are doing and how they're doing things. And so I thought, I can do a podcast. I can fire up Zoom, record it. And so I just started reaching out to people. So like half the episodes, or about half, are other facilities guys like me. And ladies, hopefully. And then the other portion of the podcasts are like what I call trade partners. So it's the roofer that I have a relationship with, paving guy, contractors, and I tell them, like, up front, this is not a 30-minute commercial for your business. Like, I'll let you plug your business at the end or whatever, but what I want to know is what's important for me to do my job. So when we talked about paving, he gave us a schedule, like, you should reseal on this frequency, you should mill and overlay on this frequency. And so it's some actionable stuff I think people can file away.
Was it him, or was it the roofer that had the bait and tackle shop and wine liquor store?
That was the paving guy.
Yeah. I learned a lot about paving. I also learned if you're an entrepreneur in paving, you can go do a whole bunch of other really cool stuff. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. And truth be told, I look at a lot of things in a very simplistic manner, and it's like I just figure just throw a bunch of tar, asphalt, concrete down, and it sits there, and it's like, why do you have to have the curb up? What? Because if it settles, it falls off like this, and you get potholes, all these things. He was a good one. They were all good ones. I was glad you got somebody from up north, mutual friend, Mr. Keith Watkins, there a couple of weeks ago, doing some awesome stuff in New Rochelle. So yeah, no, it's I love that you felt like you were on an island and you did something, because I think most operations professionals in public K-12 feel that way. Even when you come here, the energy in this last 2 days, first of all, facility's amazing. This Missouri Innovation Center at Lee Summit is lights out, phenomenal. The staff, the team, everything knocked it out of the park. So you come into this place and you're amped up already, but you put yourself in a room with 100 like-minded individuals that are looking to learn and better themselves and raise the bar. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, this is great. But then you go back to your district and they're not there anymore. It's very quick to get back in that island feeling. And so what you've done is you said, all right, I feel like an island. I'm going to get other people that feel like they're on an island, and we're going to be on an island together on this thing called this podcast. And so the name of the podcast is
School Facilities and Operations. And
you can search for Burke Jones. That's Burke Jones, Jones, on any are you on it? You're everywhere?
I think pretty much.
Okay.
I noticed I wasn't on Castbox because somebody would just ask me about it. So I need to make sure I get on there. You were on there.
Did I tell you to get on? Oh, I'm on everything. I pepper spray the world. That's why that's my secret. I get in your face. I'm a bad cold. You can't get rid of me. No, we'll talk about it. Get on do you have my podcast reviews? I think I sent you the subscription.
Yeah, you did.
If you get on that subscription, you can activate all of them right there. Yeah. So,
well, you were a big help when I was getting started, because you gave me a lot of tips on what to do, and so thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, the podcast community is it's 3.6 million channels out there, and a lot of them are hobbies, right? Less than 10% of them get 10 ratings and reviews. I like 5-star rating reviews personally. Less than 10% get 10 ratings and reviews, which would indicate that they don't have a strong following, or they don't have, something, they're not keeping up with it. And so you take that, it's 360,000 or so podcasts. Well, we're all in this thing together to try to help people, whether it's help them with their facilities, help them with their leadership, help them with their teamwork. With Keith Watkins, you talked about the cleaning, the different types of cleaning, because you're big on the team cleaning. And
we're moving towards
there's a lot of discussions around the different ways. I mean, you'd say, well, you push the vacuum this way and you push the mop that way and you change the towel holders, a lot more to it. And then when you extrapolate the space and you go, all right, the average custodian that I have covers XYZ amount of square feet. If you're lucky, in the mid 25,000 or so square foot. But the reality is, especially being short staffed, a lot of school districts have custodians that are covering 50, 60, 100,000 square foot in a day.
Right.
And you have to adjust what you do and your frequency of doing it, but also keeping the school healthy. So there's just so much to it. That's a full-time job in itself. And yet then you have to do the operations, the preventive maintenance, the inventory control, the payrolls, the dealing with the calling in sick, all that fun stuff. So I don't know how you guys get any sleep. I mean, people talk about me not getting sleep and traveling all the time. I'm like, if I had your day job, I wouldn't have flying someplace as an excuse. I'd have a load of work doing it. It's interesting. You show that you love what you do. Like, you seem to be right what Keith is saying, telling his kids, whatever you do what you love. Is there a part of you that wishes you found this sooner?
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I know you got a lot of gas in the tank, but I mean, just
Yeah.
every interaction I have with you, and we've had some interactions that were during some challenging times in the last 6-8 months of your career. You've never had this, you've always had a positive outlook. You've always had a positive feeling. I know when you brought Keith on board, you were like amped up and excited.
Yeah.
And I even asked you, I'm like, so what school did he come from? Because that's the
Right.
the mindset in the brain. You're like, oh no, he doesn't come from a school. I'm like, what do you mean? And you're like, no, but he's going to be awesome and he's going to be great. And I know he's going to do a fantastic job and he's the right fit. And I know that he's going to get along with the team. I know he's going to do this. And it was like, you were just amped up and excited. I'm sitting here going, wow, you're short staffed. You got all these issues and you're bringing in somebody that doesn't have any experience. Good luck. And look at, here he is. He made it 2 weeks.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. They say if you make it 2 weeks, you make it forever.
That's right.
And I'll be back next week, too.
Yeah.
I think it's the thing, like when I was, the last year of being an architect, I would start dreading Monday morning on Saturday.
Yeah.
Like my wife would be like, why are you so grumpy on Sunday? Every Sunday you're grumpy. Yeah. Yeah.
You're tired.
Not 3 years in, I haven't had a day that I didn't look forward to coming.
Yeah.
Even when I knew there was gonna be difficult things, right? Difficult staffing issues, difficult projects or whatever. I've been excited to come to work every day.
That's
awesome. I mean, that's just super cool.
Mhm.
And a lot of it's are the team that I work with, like our director level team and the superintendent are incredible leaders. And at my level, like I know a little bit about everything that happens in the district, which is, super cool.
Yeah.
I could be sitting there and we're having curriculum discussions. I know nothing about curriculum. Right. But we're encouraged to learn and ask questions.
Yeah.
So if we're asked, at least I have a basic understanding about why did we go with that English curriculum, so it's just such a varied things that I get to be involved with every day. It's just super cool.
Yeah. Constantly changing. That's the thing that I love about the job. And my part of being the job is every day is different. Right. Every day's an unknown and every day is exciting. Like if you look at it from that perspective, and that's pretty cool. So
and when you look out, like I created like a 10-year, let's say, capital outlay plan.
Yeah.
And I'm going, man, there's like some incredible things that I won't even see the completion of.
Well, you might.
I might. But and I start getting a little disappointed, like there's a lot I still want to do.
That's why I say you might, because you start looking at those things. And I've talked to a number of facility directors that could retire and reach their max and everything else. And and I think you should work as long as you feel you're relevant and you're making an impact. You should work. I think you should, because when you stop working, when you got nothing.
Right.
Yeah, golf, fishing, a few other things
Mhm.
that you say you want to do, and then you realize that you just spent the majority of your life getting a skill or a talent and being an expert at, and you didn't get a chance to play golf or fish, and so you stink at them both. And
Yeah.
it's just like you just say, well, what did I do that for? So I always say, as long as you feel relevant, and as long as you want to see those projects come to completion, and as long as they want to keep having you back,
Right.
keep doing it. So my prediction is, in 10 years, we're going to be sitting down and we're going to be talking about all these projects that we talked about, because this is a time capsule, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I can go back and I can say,
Yep.
when did Burke tell me that he was saying about this, seeing the completion? I got this. This is done. Yeah. Well, this is great. You guys need to get back on the road. This has got over. You're sitting here. I don't want you to sit in rush hour traffic. I just got a quick drive to the airport, and then I'll let the pilot do the rest.
Nice.
But I really appreciate this. If somebody wants to be a guest on your podcast or wants to contact you, how do they get a hold of you?
So probably the best way is through my LinkedIn profile, or I'll even give you my email address. It's just B as in boy, JONES at USD260.com.
Awesome.
But I just want to thank all the Missouri guys for, being so welcoming to us and showing us a great time
Oh, yeah. It's been
here in
great.
Lee Summit, and making us learn.
Yeah. No, they do it right. I'm so impressed. And Kansas is kicking it up a notch.
Yeah.
Chris Crockett and the board over there, with their organization, they're doing some wonderful things, and they're growing, and there's a lot of cross-pollination happening.
Yeah, there is.
I love it, because rising tide floats all ships. So I'm excited. I'm gonna be going to the Kansas conference in the fall, and giving a keynote, spending a couple of days with everybody there, and I'll be in Missouri too. So yeah, hey, there you go.
Yeah,
You guys
yep.
are the early bird registration.
That's
set,
right.
So they know you're coming. So that's probably going to be a good plug for them to be able to say, hey, Burke's coming. Maybe you have the podcast, fire it up and do what I'm doing here.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Rip out a bunch of episodes. So well, this is great. You guys hit the road. I appreciate you. Thanks for giving me your time. Great to meet you in person.
Yeah.
Congratulations to
Nice
you.
meeting you, John.
I'm excited to hear about your journey, and I already know this guy's journey. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna be raising a glass in 10 years of the completion of all these
Awesome.
projects. So that'll do it for another episode. We got one or two more to do before I head out on the road. As all the episodes, if you feel like we deserve a 5-star rating and review, please give us that on your podcast platform of choice. Follow us on LinkedIn. Once we hit to a critical mass that we need to get that is approved by LinkedIn, we can start doing these live. We can do question and answer. We can do all this stuff to really make this engaging and interactive for you. But it can only happen once we get that. Once you hit that follow button on LinkedIn. If we're doing something that doesn't deserve those, give me a call. Let me know. Send me an email. Josh@beawesome.com, and that's JOSH@beawesome, BEAUSM.com, or give me a call direct anytime. I'll give you my home phone number, 508-238-5711. It's 508-238-5711. In the meantime, until the next episode, thanks for all that you do.